What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Soge Kami here, and we're talking about One Piece chapter 1093. And we got another break week coming up. I know it is always unfortunate to hear, but we got two chapters in a row this time. At least it wasn't break, chapter, break, chapter, break, chapter like before. Hopefully next time we get three chapters in a row instead of two this time. But it is what it is. This chapter is titled Luffy vs. Kizaru. I thought this chapter was overall pretty good. It did, like the cliffhanger ending at the end, made me just hunger for even more, but I guess that's just the mark of a good author. You know, although the chapter is called Luffy vs. Kizaru, Kizaru didn't really fight Luffy in this chapter very much. So right off the top, it picks up from where we left after the last chapter. Luffy is holding Kizaru, and he throws him away, talks to Vegapunk a little bit. They make a little plan, and everyone is on their way. On their way back, Kizaru is about to fall into the water, and on his way back, you know, he does his Magatama move, and he makes a bunch of shadow clones and is fighting Luffy. But it's funny, because he actually dodges Luffy and goes to look for Vegapunk. In this time, that made me think about One Piece chapter 1090, the Kizaru chapter, and he talks to Jay Garcia, and he tells him like, oh, you know, when somebody is standing up to me, I can't just overlook that, you know, that's not my way. But Luffy's trying to face him head on, and it seems that Kizaru is kind of running from Luffy. So that is a little interesting to me. It seems like Kizaru, I don't want to say Kizaru doesn't think he can beat Luffy, but it seems like he's avoiding Luffy a little bit. You know, he doesn't want to fight Luffy like this. Maybe he knows something about like the time constraints, because that's the main thing that I'm worried about for Luffy in this chapter. Because like I think that Gear 5 Luffy is stronger than him, but he has too many drawbacks to be fighting in Gear 5 for this long, you know? So maybe Kizaru's kind of timing him out. Timer scam. So I do think that was kind of like an interesting way to go back to chapter for me, where it's like Luffy chasing Kizaru chasing Vegapunk. So that was something that's interesting from the very early parts of the chapter. We also see the plan for Atlas, Vegapunk, Frankie, and Sanji as they are moving towards saving Bonnie. So Atlas and Vegapunk decide we can't just leave her down there, and at the same time Vegapunk is saying like, or Atlas is saying, we need to redirect the orders for the pacifista since we have the highest clearance, them not knowing that Garcia's on the boat, right? So they all head down there, Atlas gives the order, and then at the end of the chapter we see that Garcia is kind of sitting there watching. So we kind of have an inclination as to what will happen next. Still no look at with the Blackbeard Pirates. One of the most, I would say, the most intriguing thing we got from the chapter was the fact that Luffy ate one of Kizaru's beams. I thought that was pretty crazy. Just like a crazy thing to do. We don't know if that really caused him any damage or if he turned into rubber, how that exact worked, but he actually ate the beam, so that's funny. And then after we see him with like the optic blast, the beam flying out of his eyes, flying out of his mouth. So like Luffy is definitely going OD in these last chapters. We kind of get back into like the Zoro versus Lucci thing. It looks pretty like dead even right now. We see at the end Zoro with like a little black sparks, but you know, we don't really know how to gauge this right now. We're going to have to really wait for them to give this a dedicated chapter. So we just kind of leave it up in the air at it kind of being like a stalemate. I do think that Zoro would be stronger than Lucci, but Lucci is in this awakened form now, so can't really just take that from Lucci. We want to see what Oda's going to give us, how this fight will go. No catch up with Kaku, but when we see Sanji and Frankie, basically they say they want to tag along with Vegapunk to save Bonnie. I guess Frankie feels a little guilty because Bonnie was gotten rid of right in front of his eyes, and then Sanji always has to save the girl. But at the same time, we still haven't seen anything from Stussy. We don't know what's going on with her. I feel like we should know a little bit more about how Stussy is right now. Is she dead? I don't think so, but Robin and Chopper were up there, right? Robin was getting healed, so maybe Chopper has moved on to saving Stussy. We don't know, but I just found it a little weird that she just went down and nobody has said anything about her case since. You know, I just want to know. Jinbei says, let's make a plan, you know, we'll let them meet around back. So right now it seems that like Lilith is gonna use the Frankie robot to pick up the Sunny, and then they're gonna run it to the back where Jinbei has the stuff that Vegapunk was looking for, and Nami, Usopp, and those guys are still up in the main central control tower, just kind of watching along and kind of figuring what to do next. They'll probably go and meet with Jinbei and Lilith in the back. with everyone else. We didn't get any update on Kuma's whereabouts, exactly what's going on with him. I would assume that Kuma is on his way to Egghead, and he and Vegapunk and Bonnie will all share a moment at some point in this arc. Maybe St. J. Garcia's down there. And at the same time, we did get to catch up with Bonnie in this chapter. Bonnie, after she hit the labo phase barrier, she was zapped and caught by Sentomaru. Sentomaru is not looking very good right now, but that was such a Chad move to catch Bonnie the way he did. And then he basically told her to escape and then passed out. So now Bonnie is hiding, turning people to kids so that anytime they get near her, but she can't really escape because there will be people on the lookout for her. And you do not want like one of those vice admirals to catch her. I'm really scared that Sanji is going to end up in a clash with Doll, who we saw use kicks before. So, like, I just don't want to see that again. That always happens to Sanji, him fighting women. So I would rather somebody else fight Doll. You know, it is what it is. And like I said before, we see at the end of this chapter, St. J. Garcia, he kind of, after it is that Atlas makes the order for all of the pacifistas to change positions, we see St. J. Garcia's face. So that goes into what we should assume we're gonna see next chapter. Probably something from Kuma, a catch up, maybe a focus on Zoro versus Lucci, maybe a little bit of Luffy versus Kizaru, maybe some Blackbeard stuff, but mainly the focus should be on this pacifista war. It seems right now that what they're saying is the people who control the Mark III pacifista are the people who control the war. So let's see how that goes. I want to know if the Seraphim are going to be making an appearance later in this arc at all. So, like, that could be something that we could also see in this. And maybe an update from Stussy, just to know how she is. She's alive, she's breathing, or she died. I don't assume that she would have actually died, considering Sentomaru has lived through so many things in this arc already. We know he's a big Chad, too, but, like, come on, give us a little something. But hopefully Stussy was a character that I was looking forward to, and they don't just abandon her, because she doesn't really have nobody else, right? Vegapunk is, like, would seem to be her closest thing to an ally, and if you just abandon her like that, that wouldn't make me feel good. So hopefully Stussy's still good, she's still kicking it, and that they can take her with her to Elbaf. So yeah, let me know what you think about this chapter. Let me know what you guys are expecting in the next chapters coming up, and thank you so much for watching. This has been Soge Kami, out.